Hello YouTube and welcome to the GB Studio Clone Challenge. My name is Helfansing and in this devlog series I want to show you how I recreate the mechanics of famous video games in GB Studio to create my own little clone prototype and explore the possibilities of the engine. In the second part of the second episode we will again focus on the Super Mario clone GB Space Jump. In the last devlog tutorial thing, we dealt with loot and loot boxes. The good ones. The ones you don't have to buy for real money first. And because you have to represent all the great loot somehow and make it countable for the player so that it exists for him at all and so that the player continues to play our game in search for more loot and in the desire for increasing numbers, I show you in the first part of today's video how to build a counting system. In the second part we will also deal with Super Mario typical upgrades to make our little nameless Game Boy friend grow big and strong. So here we go. The loot counting system. Actually, the name loot counting system is way too complicated for what's behind it. It's basically just a single actor that changes its sprite depending on the variable state. So we create a new actor which we pin to the screen right away so it's always visible. Then for its original sprite we simply insert a graphic that specifies the loot to be counted as 0. Optionally, the actor could also be hidden at this point and only show once the player's loot account fills up. All we need to do now is set up a series of if loops under the on upgrade tab that change the sprite of the loot count actor depending on the variable state. If the number of batteries collected is 1, we give the command to change the sprite of the actor accordingly and so on. This has the advantage that we once again save an actor in the scene since the loot count is always visible. If we would show all the numbers individually, this would not only consume more actors but would of course also be more complicated to set up. The only disadvantage is that you have to draw all the sprites for this actor yourself. That's why I left it at 10 batteries for this prototype. Although of course Mario has to collect 100 coins until he can exchange them for a life. Our little Game Boy friend has a better exchange rate and I have less to draw. But to exchange the 10 batteries for a life now and to make this visible to the player, we now give the command at 10 batteries to first show the 10 sprite, wait for a second, and then change the sprite to the bonus life. Now we increase the little Game Boy dude's life variable by 1 and wait again for 1.5 seconds before setting the loot count variable back to 0. Since we set the whole thing to on upgrade, the cycle starts all over again and our little Game Boy friend starts collecting batteries again to trade them once more for another life. Depending on the difficulty level of your game, it's of course a good idea to either reduce the number of resources needed or increase the price of the upgrade. However, since the player likes to watch numbers grow, I recommend the latter for minor upgrades. Upgrades. At first glance, the upgrade system looks a bit more complicated. In fact, however, it's basically just a few if loops, one after the other, that query the state of the upgrade actor and the little Game Boy dude. To save a valuable actor, we built the whole thing according to the principle of the loot box shown in the last video. This time, however, there is one important difference. The upgrade doesn't just disappear like the batteries, but has to be touched again by the player so that our little Game Boy friend can use it and get cool new abilities, like growth or laser beams. As a little person I can say that both are really cool. After setting the movement speed of the actor to 3 and the collision group to 1, we already create our first blue if loop under the tab on hit and player. This loop asks if the actor has already been touched and if it is still a loot box or already an upgrade. I have stored this here in the variable used. If the actor has not been used yet, the variable shows 0. If the variable is 0, the first if loop is true and the program continues as follows. Inside the first if loop there is another one in orange. This one contains the function of the battery loot box and asks if the player is below the loot box when touching it. Only then it will be activated. If it's the case, the variable used is set to 1. Now the actor is hidden and another green if loop requests in which upgrade state our little Game Boy friend is. If the variable player upgraded is 0, that means the player has not collected an upgrade yet, and the sprite of the loot box actor changes to the growth upgrade. However, if the player has already collected this upgrade, the else option now activates and the loot box actor gets the sprite of the laser upgrade. This ends the third if loop. Now the actor is moved -2 steps in Y direction, so 1 field up, and then becomes visible again and the variable used is increased to 2. This ends the first 2 if loops. So now we have an upgrade sitting on the top of the open loot box, which is the empty sprite located in the scene background. Now it just needs to do something when the player touches it again. For this we set a fourth, also blue if loop after the first if loop, which requests if the variable used is 2. If this is the case, a fifth orange if loop inside the fourth one asks for the upgrade state of the player. If this is 0, the variable player upgraded is set to 1, the upgrade actor is hidden and the script is stopped. However, if the variable is already 1, a sixth green if loop within the fifth becomes active, the variable player upgraded is set to 2, the actor is hidden and the script is stopped. If this is not the case either, so the player already has both upgrades, the else option of the sixth loop kicks in. In this case, the variable upgrade stored is set from 0 to 1 and the actor is hidden. This last variable is responsible for storing the upgrade if the player has already received both upgrades, so that when the shift key is pressed, the upgrade thus stored can be used. Upgrade at the push of a button. Here we need another actor, which we pin to the screen next to the loot count indicator. Under the On Upgrade tab, we place the Attach Script to Button function and select the Select button, which we use on the keyboard with Shift. So now when the player presses Shift, another if query takes place. Yay! If the variable upgrade stored is 1, the little Game Boy dude's upgrade level is set to 2 and the variable upgrade stored is reset to 0. But wait, so far I haven't shown you how our little Game Boy friend gets his upgrade at all. For the sake of clarity, we'll do that with a custom script. This will be executed at the end of the if loop when the player has already saved an upgrade, so he has already received 2 before. These are in turn executed by each scene of the prototype under the tab On Upgrade, executing just that custom script Player Upgrade. This is done whenever it touches an actor of collision group 1, to which, as we remember, the loot box and upgrade actors belong. The custom script now works as follows. 3 if loops request the upgrade state of the player. If the upgrade state is 0, the small base sprite of our small Game Boy friend is displayed and the yellow sprite palette is used. If the upgrade state is 1, the larger sprite of the now not so small Game Boy friend is displayed and the green sprite palette is used. However, if the upgrade state is 2, the same larger sprite is used, but the pink sprite palette is used instead of the green one. All actors are affected by the color change due to the palette change, except for the upgrades themselves. So in addition to the little Game Boy dude, all enemies, loot boxes, batteries and the user interface are displayed in yellow, green or pink, once again highlighting the player's progress overall. And that's it for the second part of the second episode of the GB Studio Clone Challenge. If you like the video and don't want to miss anything else, you know what to do. Next time we will focus on the enemies and the health points of our little Game Boy friend. Until then, stay healthy and creative.